The same-sex marriage postal vote can get quite heated and emotional. So what I want to do in these next few minutes is use something that we can all agree on. Logic. Because regardless of which side of this debate we stand on, I think we all agree that we don't want to change something as fundamental to our society as marriage because of an illogical argument. And as we go, I want us all to remember one thing. Inconsistency is the sign of a failed argument. Let me show you what I mean. Regardless of how you define marriage, everyone has a fence. Some relationships are inside the fence and recognized as marriage. Some relationships are outside the fence and not recognized as marriage. Currently in Australian law, male-female relationships are inside the fence, and same-sex relationships are outside the fence. There are other romantic relationships outside the fence as well. And before I mention what they are, let me be clear that I know no one is arguing that we redefine marriage to include polyamorous or incestuous relationships. And so everyone agrees that polyamorous and incestuous relationships are also outside the fence. So this is simple enough, and hopefully we all agree so far. There is a fence around the definition of marriage. Some relationships are inside the fence, and some relationships are outside the fence. Those pushing for same-sex marriage want to bring these two types of relationships inside the fence. But here's the thing. As well as a fence in the definition of marriage, there's also a foundation. There's a foundation standing under the fence saying, this is why some relationships are inside the fence, and some relationships are outside the fence. So we have a fence and we have a foundation. The foundation for those seeking to redefine marriage is pretty clear in the sound bites. Love is love, equal love, love wins. But it's not just the hashtags. We can get the foundation for same-sex marriage straight from the source. The Campaign for Marriage Equality in Australia says, marriage is about love and commitment, and in a country based on equal citizenship, it should be available to everyone. So what's the foundation for same-sex marriage here? Love, commitment, and equality. And we see it in the marketing. High-production videos of friendly-looking same-sex couples who love each other and are committed to each other, and just want to be treated like everyone else. So we have this fence proposed by same-sex marriage advocates, and we have this foundation. Now the question is the fence consistent with the foundation? Because remember, inconsistency is the sign of a failed argument. Let me stress again that no one is arguing that incestuous and polyamorous relationships should be included in the new definition of marriage. In fact, those lobbying for same-sex marriage explicitly put these relationships outside the fence. My question is, why? Is excluding these relationships from the fence consistent with the foundation of love, commitment, and equality? Because here's the thing. We can all Google polyamorous and incestuous relationships. You can find stories about polyamorous relationships or a pair of brothers who are in committed relationships and where everyone is deeply in love with each other. They would be highly offended if anyone dared to suggest their love is somehow not equal to the love of other relationships. So here's the question. If these relationships share the foundations of love and commitment, why should they not receive equality and be included inside the fence? Now, I feel like I have to stress again that I know no one is arguing that they should be included, but I'm trying to apply logic to this situation. And if those advocating for same-sex marriage were consistent with their foundation of love, commitment, and equality, then they should include these relationships inside the fence. The fact they don't is what shows their argument is inconsistent. And inconsistency is the sign of a failed argument. The argument for same-sex marriage is a failed argument. So where to from here? Well, lobby groups like the Campaign for Marriage Equality need to either change their fence or change their foundation. They either need to start lobbying for the inclusion of polygamy, incest, and other forms of romantic relationships, or they need to modify the foundation they are giving for the new definition of marriage. If you're still pro same-sex marriage, that's okay. I'm sure you agree with me that we should use logical arguments in this discussion. Speak up when people are using this failed argument, saying that marriage is about love, commitment, and equality. And that goes for everyone, regardless of which side of the debate you're on. This is a video for everyone to share. When people are using this failed argument, when they're posting their hashtags, when they're adding a marriage equality frame to their profile, when you see advertisements with high production values saying that marriage is about love and equality, let's call the argument for what it is. #failed argument. And link to this video, because logic doesn't care about high production values. And let's keep the conversation civil. I want to be clear, I'm not attacking anyone who makes this argument. I'm not saying they're failures. The people arguing for same-sex marriage are our family and friends and colleagues. We love each other. We're definitely not saying you're a failure. We're saying the argument is a failure. It's not personal, it's logical. Let's have a great discussion about Marriage Australia, and to help it along, let's all agree to stop using a failed argument.